me just say I'm not really a cook that follows a recipe. I sort of just wing things and I make things up on the spot and they often just work. Same goes with this recipe. It always changes a little bit each time, so this will be different. And I will share the macros to the brownies at the end of the video. Your main ingredient is obviously zucchinis. All you gotta do is grate it up finely. Oh, and if you haven't preheat your oven to 180 degrees, you should probably get on that. Okay, so I've grated 3 zucchinis. I'm gonna put the bowl on the scale and measure out how much we've got here. So we've got 426 grams of zucchini. So again, grab your bowl of zucchini, put it on the scale and add 1 banana. The reason I'm going to still weigh it out is if you are being really strict on your diet, if you're prepping for a comp, or if you're carb cycling, you need to know exactly how much banana is going into your mix because each banana isn't equal, as we all know. 80 grams. I'm gonna add 1 more. So altogether, we're going to put in 150 grams of banana. Then just grab a fork and mash it all up. Once that's all mixed through, you're going to add 3 whole eggs and then just mix that up. So by now your batter should be looking something like that. So I'm gonna be adding a couple of scoops of this raw protein. So this is a raw fermented paleo protein. I don't even know if I've got 2 scoops left in it. All right, so I'm just gonna add 1 scoop of that because I don't have enough to do 2. I'm gonna do 2 servings of protein, but I've run out, so I've got to make it up from both. So they're just made up of a pea protein and a whey protein. You can use whatever protein you want, but they're just vanilla flavored. So 2 scoops of protein in there, mix it up. I wouldn't recommend doing more than 2 scoops of protein because protein is the thing that makes your desserts seem really dry and like a brick. To help make your brownies nice and fluffy, you need to add some psyllium husk or psyllium husk, whatever you want to call it. So I'm just going to add 1 tablespoon of that. Then you want to get some regular almond meal and add around 50 grams of that. So to make this taste chocolatey, obviously you need some raw cacao powder. Now this is totally up to you. I like mine super chocolatey, so my amount changes every time. So I usually just add it until the color looks right. Then once I add the sweetener, I will taste it, and if I want it chocolatier, I will add more. So I'm going to start off with 2 heaped tablespoons, so that's 40 grams. So if you are tracking this, I recommend writing it down, and as you add more, keep writing that down. I don't recommend tasting it just yet because you've got no sweetener in it. So that color looks good to me, nice and chocolatey. So as you can see, it's quite thick and dense at the moment. Now it's time for the sweetness. So this is the most important part of your brownies. Do not forget to add a sweetener. So I'm gonna add stevia. It's the only sweetener I ever use, and I'm going to use the granule form and the liquid form. Don't judge me, I like sweet food, okay? When I'm baking, I do sort of track stevia as they do count for calories. So let's put it on our scale again. And look, I'm gonna be real with you. It's gonna be obnoxious. All right, I've just added 40 grams of the granuled stevia. And then just because we're going to add a few drops of the liquid stevia, and I'm not gonna track this. YOLO. So once you've done that, mix it up, and then you can give it a little bit of a taste test. Keep in mind, this is one thing I learned the hard way, it will taste sweeter in the batter, and then once you cook it, it won't be as sweet. If you have a more artificial protein, you won't have to add as much stevia in, but my protein is super raw and natural and not very sweet at all. If you're scared of raw egg, don't taste test, obviously. See, mine tastes nice now, but I know that when I cook it, it won't be as sweet. So I'm gonna add a bit more of the liquid stevia and then a few more sprinkles of the granuled stevia. That's good. If you've cooked protein desserts before, you'll know that they can taste really dry and hard. So I don't think that's gonna happen, but just in case, just to prevent it, I am going to add a dollop of yogurt. You can add any yogurt you want, Greek yogurt, goat's yogurt. So I'm just going to add some goat's yogurt. So I'm adding 100 grams of yogurt. Last ingredient. One of the most important ingredients you need is baking powder. This is gonna make your brownies nice and fluffy and make sure they rise in the oven. Normally you would only add like a little sprinkling of it to cakes, but because we're dealing with zucchini as our flour and we're dealing with protein, you need to add extra. So I'm going to put in 2 teaspoons. To make sure the baking powder activates properly, you do need to add a little bit of salt, but salt and chocolate actually go really nice together. So add a few cracks of Himalayan salt in there and then mix it up for the last time. You want a decent sized brownie, you want it to be pretty deep. So that's my tin, and I've just lined it with some baking paper, and you're just going to go ahead and pour the whole thing into the tin. And you want to make sure that your mixture has room to rise. So just make sure you find the right tin for that. So you've got your oven preheated at 180 degrees. Chuck it in there. I stopped timing it. The way you know it's ready is you just put a fork in it. If it comes out clean, you know it's ready. And if it feels sort of hard and it feels set. So I'm just going to take that out of the oven now and let it cool down. It is still quite warm, but I just cut it into 12 pieces. Normally it is a bit deeper, like it's a bit thicker, but I still like the size of these brownies. Like they're decent, like that is a decent snack. And that is the finished brownie. I like to have it with some goat's yogurt on top and some cinnamon, and it tastes absolutely amazing. So here are the macros for the brownies. It serves 12, so these macros are per serve. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like it and subscribe because I put out new videos every single week.